Right here on Channel 8. The Blazers win the contest. They'll clinch the Pacific Division title and home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Lakers were taking the Jazz on today.
In the upcoming playoffs. All the scores from the NBA. The Rockets lose today, so do the Lakers. Houston still leads L.A. by half a game for the 8th and final Western Conference playoff spot. The Clippers drilled Denver 122-88. Great season for those guys. The Heat still in the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference by defeating Orlando 105-101. Chicago nips Indiana 108-106. The Hawks and Nets are now tied for the last two playoff spots in the East. Big win for Atlanta tonight. And finally, it was Sacramento drilling Minnesota 114-94. Over to
That's the scene in Portland, a few minutes away from the start of the second game of our doubleheader. The Trailblazers and the Spurs. If Portland wins it, they clinch the Pacific. Their magic number is 1. They'll have to do it without Clyde Drexler. Re-aggravated the sprained right knee. He'll miss this game. We expect Danny Ainge to start in his place. A brief visit here with Quinn Buckner from the Showtime studios before we throw it out to Dick Enberg and Snapper Jones. And let's talk about history in a dubious sense. The final score here is 72-61 with the Pistons defeating the Knicks. This is the second lowest combined total in NBA history since the inception of the 24-second clock in the 1954-55 season. Milwaukee, and they are the predecessors of the St. Louis and then Atlanta Hawks, the Milwaukee Hawks, a team that had Bob Pettit and Frank Selvey, against the Boston Celtics, pre-Bill Russell, but still with Cousy, Sharman, and Easy Ed McCauley. That's the lowest total, 119, 62-57. Then today's exercise in futility comes in second, and then you've got Syracuse with Dolph Schayes and the Fort Wayne Pistons with 135 in 1955, 69-66. Now, both those games that bracket today's game were in 1955, the first season with the 24-second clock, so maybe they were getting used to it. What was today's excuse?
Today's excuse where you had two of the best defensive teams in basketball in terms of points scored against. And they both played well defensively, and then on the part of, I think, New York, they just shot the ball just terribly. I mean, and that's going to be their Achilles heels all year, or the rest of the season, I should say, and into the playoffs. If they don't shoot it well from the perimeter, they got no shot to get Patrick going, and without Patrick, they can't win games.
This, by the way, is the lowest total in Knick franchise history, and earlier this year, back in late February, at L.A., a Pat Riley homecoming, they had 68, and today they get 61. It's the lowest, not just for the year in the NBA, which it is, but in the history of the Knick franchise.
Well, I agree with you, and the Knicks got a bigger problem.
You must agree. It's a statistical fact. It's not a matter of opinion.
But they got a bigger problem. They've lost 4 or 5 basketball games.
Right.
And now what they're allowing to happen here is Boston has a shot. They play in Charlotte tonight to catch up, and they can be 1 game behind if they get that win. And so now the pressure is clearly on the Knicks to go out and get a win. And it's tough to play when you, again, this is a team that's playing not to win. I'm sorry, not to lose, as opposed to playing to win.
Yeah, they've lost 4 out of their last 5. All the losses have been to good teams, to playoff caliber teams. The only victory is at home against Philadelphia, and the game against Philadelphia is the only one where they topped 100 points. Their offense is worse than sputtering. It's really grinding to a halt, and if you can double Patrick Ewing, they haven't got anybody else who can take up the slack.
They have absolutely nobody. The shooter has to come from Kiki Vanderway, and they don't have anybody that is a speed breakdown dribbler, which means once he breaks you down, you double team, and you can kick to Kiki. And so without him shooting the jump shots, you just can't get it to Patrick.
By the way, another oddity, the Pistons today were coming off a 125-point outburst against Charlotte on Friday night. Their last game, that was their highest point total of the year. This one of their lowest in their history, but they win it 72-61. We'll go out to Portland. The Spurs and the Trailblazers are next, and we'll see you at halftime of that one.
At Acura, we believe that a luxury sedan should appeal to a driver's appreciation of soft leather, fine wood, and beautiful stretches of asphalt. The the Acura Legend sedan.
We got a problem. Any ideas? I've got a contact, sir. Well, get on it then. Get him here now. Let's roll! Go, go, go! Where'd you find him? He's been with the organization for a while. Nice job, sir.
With years of training, Napa Auto Care technicians provide a secret service everyone should know about.
In a world of constant change, there is one certainty. The financial strength of the rock. The Prudential Rock Solid.
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the San Antonio Spurs versus the Portland Trail Blazers.
Tucked along the Willamette River, the City of Roses, downtown Portland, Oregon, the scene for the second half of our NBA doubleheader. Nearly 13,000 rabid Blazer fans at the Portland Coliseum. The smallest arena in the NBA brings out some of the league's most enthusiastic fans. And with the regular season down to the final week, Portland is just one win away from locking up total home court advantage for the entire Western Division playoff. Meanwhile, San Antonio has secured a playoff spot, but with 5 games to go, the Spurs are in a battle with Seattle, and now the LA Clippers for the 5th spot. Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Enberg. Welcome to the Portland Coliseum. News away from the game. Clyde Drexler, a 25-point average, 4th in the league, will not play today. Drexler, an injured right knee. He arrived here at the Coliseum less than a half hour ago and obviously knew he was not going to play. The Blazers don't know when he will play next, and Clyde himself indicated he is worried.
Well, the knee is really painful. I think I got some new developments there that are not very encouraging. I think through the course of a long NBA season, you're going to have to play with some pain. I think you can play with it as long as you don't have any further chance of damaging that area. And I think I'm approaching that area.
It's been referred to as a knee sprain, and Steve Jones, you know him well, and Drexler is so competitive. For him to sit down, he's got to be hurting.
He is hurting. He took the Clipper game off, and then he decided to come back and play on Saturday against the Seattle Supersonics. Put 37 minutes in and could not walk on Saturday. They took some looks at it, and they decided that it was negative, but they need rest. They need to treat him, and now they've got to figure out whether it's best to leave him at home for the treatment, or do they try to take him out on the road and get him some game time and treat him as well.
Well, Portland with the second best record to the Chicago Bulls. They had the luxury of not using Drexler for a week, and you kind of have a feeling, reading between the lines, that's what's going to happen. Meanwhile, there's no cushion for San Antonio. Without David Robinson, he won't return until the second round of the playoffs, and the way things are going, there's no assurance they'll get to that second round.
Yes, that's right. They're hanging on by their chinny chin chins. You look at David Robinson, leader in 5 NBA categories. No other player in the NBA can state that, but they need to find a way to win. The guy that should be the player for them is Sean Elliott. He's got to step up, and the rest of his teammates have got to take a lead. He had a huge game against the Lakers on Thursday night, and they need him to play that well today.
Well, the Elliott will be at the helm, scoring helm, but it's a Spurs ship sailing without the Admiral, and who can afford to lose a guy with so much talent? And meanwhile, Portland looking ahead to the playoffs. They have those dreams, and who will they play in the first round? Joel Myers will help us clear up that matter.
Well, Dick, there's a strong chance that the Blazers will not know who they're facing in the first round of the playoffs until the final Sunday of the season. It could be one of 4 teams right now: Seattle, the Clippers, Houston, or the LA Lakers. Buck Williams wasn't very bashful when he talked about the possibilities down the road. He said he's rooting for the Lakers, who the Blazers have beaten 4 times this year. He also called Houston to the Clippers, Jekyll and Hyde teams you can't figure out. They've had problems with Houston, and the Clippers have taken 2 of the last 3 from the Blazers. Buck Williams rooting for the Lakers. Maybe the first time in the history of this franchise that the Blazers are rooting for the Lakers. Dick?
All right, Joel, that is news in itself. Well, we'll have a battle inside. 2 great veterans, former All-Stars, Terry Cummings for the San Antonio Spurs goes against Buck Williams, best shooting percentage in the league.
Somehow, people have gotten the idea the new Toyota Paseo is a wildly exciting, sporty coupe. The Paseo is a practical, sensible car. Okay, so it has some muscle, and a low starting price could be a big turn-on. And sure, you're going to be instantly popular. That's no reason to do something impulsive. Think it over. The all-new Paseo, a very practical car from Toyota.
If you think you have only 2 choices for business computer systems, think again. Hewlett-Packard.
A car with a worn suspension is more than uncomfortable. It's unsafe. But Midas puts you back in control. For a limited time, buy 1 Shocker strut and get the second for 50% off. For a safer suspension, nobody beats Midas.
What could he possibly be doing with his wife on a Saturday afternoon? He's gonna clean out the garage or scrub the toilet.
She's like a slave driver, that woman, you know?
I never let a woman treat me that way.
So what should we do tonight?
We can talk about cars.
Yeah.
With a 2,610-pound payload, a 5,000-pound towing capacity, and a powerful V6 engine, the 1992 Toyota 1-ton pickup might just surprise you.
An Indy engine today costs in excess of $100,000, so it is a major investment. And we think it's very important to use Pennzoil to protect that investment. The quality of Pennzoil is very important to us. It's always high quality. Pennzoil outperforms any leading motor oil against viscosity breakdown. Pennzoil has never let us down. If Pennzoil is good enough for us, it's certainly good enough for the average car owner. Performance, protection, quality. That's what Pennzoil means to me.
A message to everyone who flies from American Airlines. Starting Monday, April 13th, American introduces a dramatic new pricing program that brings true value back to air travel. It all begins with American's new Anytime Fare for Business, which saves you 38% off today's full coach fare, any day, on any American or American Eagle domestic flight, with no advance purchase required. For leisure travel, you can save even more with our new 7-day and 21-day plan-ahead fares. While these fares are non-refundable, they are now reusable. Finally, our new first-class fare saves you 20 to 50% throughout the continental U.S. This is not a sale. This is a straightforward pricing approach that has been long overdue in the airline industry. A new way of doing business from American Airlines, the one airline bringing value back to air travel.
Even with shifts on the fly 4-wheel drive. High-track independent front suspension. And a rugged fuel-injected V6 There are still some places you'd never dream of taking your family unless you owned a Toyota 4Runner. Go ahead, put yourself out there.
He was in a new town looking for someone to love. They were looking for someone to blame. Now he'll be lucky if he can stay alive in The Keys, a world premiere movie tonight.
So we're thinking of getting a new car. And, well, you know what I'm thinking. She's talking safety and reliability. I'm thinking twin cam, 16 valve, oof, mid-engine. Okay, so she's into driver's side airbags and room for 7. I want a low coefficient of drag. She finally gives in, and I get my way.
The 1992 Toyota Previa.
I guess I showed her.
It's one of the most technologically advanced, most rigorously tested fluids on Earth, relentlessly measured for maximum protection against the friction, the wear and tear, the heat and stress of today's engines. It is today's Quaker State. In Europe, in Japan, in America, Quaker State quality has passed the most demanding tests automakers can throw at it. At Quaker State, we don't just say we're tough, we're tested tough. The big Q is one tough motor oil.
Wouldn't it be great if your blind date Rachel turned out to be Rachel Hunter, the international model, and you had a romantic dinner at the beach with beer, really great beer, like Keystone Light, and things went really well. So you had Rachel build you a beach house, because it turned out that Rachel was a great little homemaker. Cold filtered Keystone, Keystone Light, and Keystone Dry. Bottle beer tasted in a can.
So what's left to do?
Finish shingling the roof.
I'll do that in the morning.
Wouldn't that be great?
Well, here it is, gentlemen. Top of the world. Now, I put my camera here. Your vehicle would face out over the cliffs. What do you think? Look, if you plan to claim your vehicle's as good as a Jeep, you really need this shot in your commercial. How are we going to get our vehicle up here?
Helicopter.
We'll lift it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Great. Go down and make some calls.
Same thing. It's going to be a great commercial.
Terry is impressed with the ease of Microsoft Word for Windows. But more importantly, the office is impressed with Terry. Microsoft Word, the word processor for Windows. We'd like to point out that for 10 million people, Microsoft Windows is an easier way to use their PCs. We'd now like to point out how easy it is to see for yourself. Just call 1-800-882-2000.
Miller Lite is the great beer that's less filling. It's everything you want a beer to be.
I didn't think she'd come. I knew she'd come.
Yeah.
Miller Lite is sitting at that. Come on! Sometimes I dream that he is me. You got to see that's how I dream to be. A dream I move. A dream I do.
Like Mike. If I could be like Mike. I'm gonna be like Mike. If I could be like Mike. Be like Mike. If I could be like Mike.
The whole idea for the design behind Jeep Cherokee is to get you wherever you're going, safe and sound. Or if you prefer, safe and no sound.
Now save $1,500 on new Jeep Cherokees.
Hey, kid, X marks the spot. 3 X's mark a very bad spot. When the survey says...
God.
It's the Laker girls versus the Knicks City Dancers on Family Feud. And hold that applause for a special edition of Jam Session. Glide the Glide redefines the meaning of the word. Not your normal features, not your normal announcers, not your normal sports show. But then again, who wants normal? NBA Inside Stuff, Saturday on NBC.
Come on.
Hey, what do you want in a beer?
Come on.
You want a great beer that's less filling?
Well, come on.
Then let me show you everything you want a beer to be.
Cold Miller Lite, it's it. And that's that. Come on. Come on. Let me show you where it's at. Come on. Come on. Don't you like it like that? Since we're talking beer, let's cut the chit chat. Miller Lite, it's it.
Everything you want a beer to be.
And that's that. Come on.
So what do you think about that newly designed Eagle Talon?
You'd never catch me in a car like this.
But Talon does 0 to 60 faster than Nissan 240SX.
Like I said.
Look, I'm the one who got the cash back on this Eagle Talon.
Yeah, but I'm the one who told you about the deal. Guys, what's $1,000 between friends?
500 apiece.
At the Lake Edna Karate Club's last get-together, Ralph Fisher, the instructor, served new Oriental wings from KFC. Tender wings glazed in a sweet teriyaki sauce. Charlie Lewis had so many he had to loosen his black belt. In fact, everyone had seconds. Except Ralph. New KFC Oriental wing pieces, 6 for $1.99, 20 for $5.99. For a limited time in Lake Edna or your neck of the woods.
L.A. Portland. Clyde and the Blazers are gliding with the best record in the Western Conference. Then, Michael. Isaiah. Chicago Stadium will be pumped with air for this matchup of intense division rivals. The NBA on NBC next weekend.
Hi again, everyone. Bob Costas in New York. And coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll run down the NBA playoff picture, including a day of offensive futility in Auburn Hills, where the Knicks and Pistons combined for only 133 points as the Pistons won at 72-61. It's the second lowest combined total in the league since they started the 24-second clock back in the mid-50s. And Quinn Buckner will offer his thoughts on the first half of the Spurs and Blazers. Right now, let's head back to Portland and rejoin Dick Enberg and Steve Snapper Jones. Dick?
According to an independent test, when you accelerate in this Eagle Talon, things start to fall off.
Like what?
Nissan 240SXs, Celica GTSs, Thunderbird SCs.
What impresses me about this Eagle Talon is its intercooled turbocharger, anti-lock brakes, and four-wheel independent suspension.
And you're obviously familiar with these parts.
Yeah, I've lived here my whole life.
What entrepreneurs do is they find an idea and then they risk everything every day.
We design contemporary fashions from traditional African fabrics. We're based in Oakland, but we do a lot of business with LA and Seattle.
AT&T has created a calling plan specifically for small businesses. The Small Business Option Area Code Plan gives them an automatic 10% discount to 1 or 2 area codes that they call most. Every customer has a goal. We want to help them to achieve that goal.
We can make a difference. AT&T. Call us.
Come on, 1 inch farther. Let's go.
Snickers Bar, the official snack food sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Packed with fresh roasted peanuts, thick milk chocolate, and caramel, Snickers satisfies the hunger inside you.
There's a hunger inside you.
You're about to see how Goodyear is changing all-season driving right before your eyes. Introducing AquaTread, only from Goodyear. AquaTread's advanced design channels water out of your way for dependable all-season traction, especially in the rain when you may need it most. AquaTread, the newest reason why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
A serial killer's murdering women.
We have an undercover opportunity.
The perfect job for ease.
Too dangerous.
A machine so real she seems human.
Why are you so worried?
The future is a dangerous place.
Women like a mean streak.
Be careful. Man and Machine, 8/7 Central, NBC tonight.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. In a changing world, one thing remains rock solid, the Prudential.
Halftime in Portland, Trailblazers leading the Spurs 62-48. Terry Porter on fire with 22 points, including 4 three-pointers. He's coming off a 27-point effort on Friday night at home against Seattle. Bob Costas back along with Quinn Buckner. Looks like they'll wrap up the Pacific. The magic number was 1 coming in, and it looks like San Antonio will lose their 7th game in 10 tries without David Robinson unless they rally in the second half.
Well, San Antonio's definitely struggling. They haven't been able to get themselves any real inside points, but I think the positive for Portland is that obviously they get to wrap up home court should they get the win, but they're starting to get some play from the guy they've got to have come along for them. Kevin Duckworth is the guy inside that can make some things happen. He's big, strong body. You see right here. Now, this is a basket that Cliff Robinson may not get, but Duckworth, being big, can get it. Now, what San Antonio really misses is that they can't get anybody to take up what David Robinson does normally, which is block shots. Antoine Carr is the guy they threw in there. He blocked that shot, and then you'll see coming back on the other end, he makes himself available to do the same kinds of things. It's important that San Antonio stop people from scoring. They have struggled to do that today. Inside scoring for Portland is 35-19.
Yeah, they do it in that sequence, but as you say, let's not skim over that stat. 35 of the 62 Portland points have come in the paint, and that illustrates the absence of Robinson as a defensive force.
Well, he is definitely the defensive force, and what it also suggests is that on the offensive end, the 19 points, David Robinson is capable of getting that in a half and sometimes in a quarter, so they lack the ability to do anything on the inside, and that's what they're going to miss should David Robinson not return for the playoffs.
We talked about Duckworth in a halftime feature earlier in the day. 10 points, 8 rebounds in the first half today. He is keenly aware, as are all of his teammates and Coach Rick Adelman, that they might be able to make it through the first round. They might even be able to get out of the West. But if they're going to seriously contend for the championship, and they're pointing toward a likely matchup with Chicago if they get that far, Duckworth must come up big. Here's a guy at his size, former All-Star, 4th on his own team in rebounding at this point in the season. He has got to turn it around down the stretch.
I agree with you, and I think what the team has started to do, I noticed in this game that everybody made a concerted effort to get him the ball in position to score, and they've got to do that because with big people, if you get them the ball and they score, they rebound better.
All right, coming up next, highlights, or in some cases, lowlights from the Knicks-Pistons game, plus news of an unusual no-hitter in Cleveland. That's right after this message from Prudential and a word from the NBA.
In a world of constant change, there is one certainty. The financial strength of the rock, the Prudential, rock solid.
My nursery school teacher had us all out on the playground. She brings all the balls out and gets us started playing basketball. My mother and father have always been very supportive of anything I've ever done. You know, my father rebounded for me whenever I needed him, so they were always there. You know, I think the world is all about working together, and that's what you do when you play basketball. You have to work together on and off the court.
The early game in our doubleheader today was between the Knicks and the Pistons at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and it was not a pretty sight. The Pistons win it by the score of 72-61. The 133 points combined, the second fewest in NBA history since the inception of the shot clock in the 54-55 season. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from that game. It was a tough day all the way through for Patrick Ewing. You might say that the Pistons drew first blood as Patrick is toweled off early. Here, Charles Oakley's pass will be deflected. Pistons off and running. Darrell Walker finds Dennis Rodman for the layup. It caps a 20-2 Piston run, and they led at the half, 42-31. Ewing had 14 points in the game, but was only 4 of 20 from the field, including this brick. Oh, man. Pat Riley wondering what's going on. The Pistons' defense is getting into playoff form, Here they trap Mark Jackson. Darrell Walker creates the turnover. Dennis Rodman rewards him with the down-court pass for the easy score. Pistons win 72-61, and afterwards, Joe Dumars talks with Marv Albert.
The Pistons have turned around. You've now won 5 straight games. The turnaround coming right around the time that Bill Laimbeer was lashing out and criticizing general manager Jack McCloskey. Was there any tie-in? Do you relate the one to the other?
Well, it was more to our meeting than just Bill lashing out at Jack McCloskey. We cleared the air on a lot of things, on a lot of team things, on the floor, off the floor, and I think that helped us more than anything else. We had a lot of underlying things that was bothering our team, and once we got that out in the open, everybody kind of aired their grievances. We've been on the upswing ever since.
Okay, they've won 5 in a row, and more importantly, even though the Knicks are in the throes of a terrible offensive slump, and it shows indications of what's troubled them all year long in terms of their lack of perimeter scoring, the key for Detroit is it isn't just Knick futility today, it's their defense. And that defense, coupled with the fact that they're a veteran team, scares people with the playoffs looming.
You and I have talked about this, Bob, and as you pointed out, they're a dangerous team, Detroit, because they have that experience. What's really important for this victory was emotionally, I thought Detroit was as involved in this game as any they've played in a long time. They fed off of that, they got steals, and they played very sound defense, and that's what it takes to win in this league.
Okay, a couple of other finals, afternoon games today in the NBA. Washington was at Cleveland. The Cavaliers win this 114-91. Brad Daugherty had 20 and Steve Kerr had 19. Milwaukee snaps their 24-game road losing streak and an overall 11-game losing streak by winning at the Spectrum 94-90. Brad Lohaus with 24. Charles Barkley did not play because of a dislocated finger the other night sustained against the Knicks. So without Barkley, the Sixers, who have just about disappeared from the playoff picture, lose 94-90. Now, what happened today in Cleveland? Matt Young pitched 8 no-hit innings, but he walked 7. And the Indians beat the Red Sox 2-1, and officially Young, who is the losing pitcher, does not even get credit for the no-hitter because last year a rules committee headed by the commissioner changed the rules. You can still get a no-hitter if you're the loser, but you must pitch at least 9 innings, no rain-shortened games, suspended games, or something like this. And here is how it ended. In the top half of the 9th inning, Mike Greenwell at bat against Derek Lilliquist. He will hit into a double play. The Indians, without a hit, but with 7 walks, helping them to score 2 runs, will win the game by a score of 2-1 over the Red Sox. And there you see the left-hander Matt Young walking off. It's a spitting shame for him. Unusual couple of days for the Red Sox and Indians. They went 19 innings yesterday, and the Red Sox won that. Today they don't even give up a hit, and they lose. Go figure.
You got it, Bob. That's your kind of story.
Up next, we'll return to Dick Enberg and Steve Snapper Jones in Portland. Second half action. The Blazers over the Spurs by 14 at this point, and we're back after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. In a changing world, one thing remains rock solid: the Prudential.
G.I. Joe salutes Haviland Motor Oil's long commitment to IndyCar racing. Haviland's quality reputation makes it the perfect motor oil for your car or truck, too. And now, during G.I. Joe's 2-week sale, you can get Haviland Formula 3 motor oil for just 94 cents a quart. Texaco Haviland is the proud presenting sponsor of this year's Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200. Save on Haviland during the 2-week sale at G.I. Joe's, the Northwest Sports and Auto Store.
These are my new shoes from Converse. They're so light and so fast, my grandmama can whoop you in them. Grandmama! Let's go. What? Shoot that, do that. I'm like an old lady. Move it, Granny, move it. Remember, you can't beat what you can't catch. Okay, Granny, one-on-one, me and you. That was a lucky shot, Grandma.
My wife bets me that I can't go into Builder's Square garden shop and get only what I need. Ha! Pruning shears. That's all I need are pruning shears. I don't need seed, fertilizer, hoses, sprinklers. No. I'm not the least bit interested in these yard tools. Even this weed terminator doesn't faze me. Look at these prices. So, I owe the wife $1.
Builder's Square, the warehouse with everything for your house and your garden.
For news that works for you, watch it. Weeknights on News 8 at 5.
the Lakers, the Trailblazers, Saturday on NBC.
Center court with Andre Agassi versus David Wheaton.
Nice shoot.
Some technical difficulty. The network feed.
Some great sports cars have lived in this driveway. It's got the oil stains to prove it. They were loved and cursed. Finally, they just disappeared. Until Mazda asked, why not build a modern, reliable roadster with the heart and soul of a classic? People say they don't make cars like this anymore. In fact, they never did. The Miata from the new Mazda. It just feels right.
This is Control. Go ahead.
We've got trouble.
What's the point of origin?
Japan.
Stand by. I'm patching you through to Command Center.
We've got to find it.
We'll have it tomorrow.
Tomorrow's too late.
You inform headquarters?
They're working on it. Hold on. You've got something. Quick, check the vehicle ID number.
That's it.
With more parts for more import cars than anybody else.
We got it.
Napa is a domestic solution to an international problem.
I would recommend to the average car owner that they change their oil every 3,000 miles. The cheapest insurance that you will ever buy for the life of your car is to keep your engine oil changed. I would recommend Pennzoil because Pennzoil outperforms any leading motor oil against viscosity breakdown. You can't afford it. You can't afford to have the wrong product in your engine. Pennzoil, performance, protection, quality. That's what Pennzoil means to me.
It's easy to see why cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft Light is the light beer with big taste. Inside, every bottle is a little Miller Genuine Draft.
This is our vision of what a luxury sedan should be. Not because it offers rich leather and anti-lock brakes, but because it comes standard with an airbag on the driver's side and the passenger side as well, creating a luxury sedan where even peace of mind is shared. The new 929, the first luxury sedan from the new Mazda. It just feels right.
The Summer Olympics are coming to NBC.
The white zone is for immediate.
We didn't design the new Mazda MX-3 to be like apple pie. Jalapenos were what we had in mind. Because if something's not worth having an opinion about it, it's not worth having. And with the only V6 in its class, the MX-3 is one hot chili pepper. Hey, you're not John Doe. Why drive his car? The new MX-3 from the new Mazda.
It just feels right.
Come on now. You sit on the bench and watch that? Walk, walk. You can't do that. Oh, mark right into them. That's embarrassing. This foolishness has gone far enough. You are so bad. You're wide open. Oh, get on that floor. No. Oh, timeout. When you're losing it on the court, you take a timeout. When you're losing it at home, you should do the same.
This is the NBC Television Network.
When the West was young, getting a good beer wasn't easy.
Anybody want a Henry?
In fact, for the West's finest beer,
Henry Reinhardt?
beer drinkers would wait for months.
Just come into town.
It came from hundreds of miles away.
Oregon.
But if that seems like a lot of trouble just for a better beer,
Now for supper,
it really wasn't.
there's a few things not on the regular menu.
Because even then, Westerners did everything in a very special way.
Buffalo and a light cream sauce. Our fresh fish tonight is brook trout almondine. The
desert sage hen is especially good. Broiled over mesquite.
It's Sunday, and you have stuff to do around the house. So you go to Home Club to get a few things, but something seems different. They still have everything you need. They still have friendly salespeople and great low prices. But something's definitely changed. And then it hits you. You never used to give out balloons. Home Club is now home base. It's that simple.
Win a $10,000 home base shopping spree or get up to a 50% discount in the home base scratch and win sweepstakes.
For news that works for you, watch us weeknights on News 8 at 5.
Introducing Ford's newest car. It doesn't have a sticker price. There's no choice of colors. And it has to be driven 4 times the speed limit to be appreciated. The new Ford IndyCar. If you think our technology looks impressive here, just wait till you experience it down the road. Have you driven a Ford lately?
It's one of the most technologically advanced, most rigorously tested fluids on Earth, relentlessly measured for maximum protection against the friction, the wear and tear, the heat and stress of today's engines. It is today's Quaker State. In Europe, in Japan, in America, Quaker State quality has passed the most demanding tests automakers can throw at it. At Quaker State, we don't just say we're tough, we're tested tough. The big Q is one tough motor oil.
Genuine draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
The Lakers, the Trailblazers, Saturday on NBC.
Introducing the new Ford Taurus and the ear. Its new design pleases the eye, but to please the ear, we quieted the engine, the interior, even the air conditioning. So now the idea of driving one will sound even better.
A message to everyone who flies from American Airlines. Starting Monday, April 13th, American introduces a dramatic new pricing program that brings true value back to air travel. It all begins with American's new Anytime Fare for Business, which saves you 38% off today's full coach fare. Any day, on any American or American Eagle domestic flight, with no advance purchase required. For leisure travel, you can save even more with our new 7-day and 21-day plan-ahead fares. While these fares are non-refundable, they are now reusable. Finally, our new first-class fare saves you 20 to 50% throughout the continental U.S. This is not a sale. This is a straightforward pricing approach that has been long overdue in the airline industry. A new way of doing business from American Airlines, the one airline bringing value back to air travel.
Introducing the new Ford Taurus and the button. The new Taurus now offers remote radio controls, express down power windows, and better night visibility. Because when it comes to convenience, we push all the right buttons.
Filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place. For the Fergusons, just going to the store can be quite an adventure. Incredibly civilized Ford Explorer. The overwhelming choice of Explorers everywhere.
Inside your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions, only one leading motor oil in every grade meets the world's toughest requirements for viscosity breakdown. Castrol. Castrol provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol. After all, why make things tougher on your engine? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
L.A., Portland, Clyde and the Blazers are gliding with the best record in the Western Conference. Ben, Michael, Isaiah. Chicago Stadium will be pumped with air for this matchup of intense division rivals. The NBA on NBC next weekend.
At age 74, I'm the oldest Ironman triathlete.
Jim Ward has a hobby. It's called staying young.
It's a workout.
That's why he uses Armor All protectant on his dash, seats, and especially his tires. Rubber can age and crack, but Armor All penetrates to keep his tires looking like new. Jim says his tires never seem to get old. People say the same thing about Jim.
I like a good-looking car. It makes me feel good.
There is a fountain of youth, and we own the patent. Armor All.
I gotta run.
Morning breath.
As soon as I have my coffee, it's all gone.
Whether you admit it or not, it's a problem.
Okay, I have morning breath, but it doesn't bother anyone.
Don't be so sure.
Mine's not so bad.
Morning breath's not as bad as you think. It's worse. So get Scope. Its two powerful ingredients kill 90% of the bacteria that cause morning breath.
Was my morning breath really that bad?
There's no denying morning breath, so save your breath with Scope.
Ford trucks, the best never ends.
When we made the best-built, best-selling Ford full-size pickup more stylish, we also made it a more comfortable place for people. Clubwagon's been totally redesigned around people, and only Ford offers drivers airbags in both mini and full-size vans. Ford redefined the word truck.
But we didn't forget who made us #1.
More people are driving the best-built, best-selling American trucks than ever before.
So, Portland over San Antonio, 123-97, and we have time for a post-game show. In the next few minutes, we'll hear from one of the winning Trailblazers. We hope it'll be Kevin Duckworth. We'll get Quinn Buckner's comments on the game, and we'll take a look at some of the key matchups upcoming this final week of the NBA's regular season. And we'll get started after these commercial messages.
What does $1 billion worth of service feel like? At ITT Sheridan, it feels like this.
A car with a worn suspension is more than uncomfortable. It's unsafe. But Midas puts you back in control. For a limited time, buy one Shocker strut and get the second for 50% off. For a safer suspension, nobody beats Midas.
When a man ran a grueling 26-mile marathon in a pair of dress shoes, what was he thinking? He was thinking, I'm glad they're Rockports. Rockport, you should be in our shoes.
NBA action is fantastic.
Okay, Bob Costas back in New York along with Quinn Buckner. The final is Portland 123 and San Antonio 97. Sean Elliott had 22 for the Spurs. Terry Cummings had 16. They go with Antoine Carr in the middle because David Robinson has missed now 10 games, during which the Spurs are 3-7. Terry Porter with 28, including 6 three-pointers. But the big story, all things considered, is Duckworth.
And the Portland Trailblazer fans have to be just ecstatic to see Kevin Duckworth play this way, because this is a guy, he's emotional. And it seems to me that the emotion of this entire last week event, of him having a conversation with Rick Adelman and all that, has played well. His teammates looked for him today, and he responded very well.
23 points, 12 rebounds for Kevin Duckworth, who's standing by from Portland. Kevin, Bob Costas along with Quinn Buckner. The question is, how aware were you of the national attention really on your story? It's been a story in Portland, but we talked about it yesterday, and we had a halftime feature in the Knicks-Pistons game about it today. Were you aware of that, and did it give you some kind of motivation to perform as you did today?
No, I wasn't aware of it. I knew that we was without Clyde today, and I just knew I wanted to come out and just play as well as I can, as hard as I can. I knew I have an opportunity to get the ball a little more, with Clyde out, so I wanted to take advantage of it. Kevin, you've been struggling a little bit. What do you think has been your problem in terms of getting involved in the offense? Being put in the offense to get involved. Mainly, I felt, I hear all kind of rumors and whatever was said. It's just that I felt that I just wasn't involved in the offense at all early part of the year. Well, most of the year. Now they tend to get me more involved in the game, and that's what it takes to get me motivated.
Is this a little bit of a chicken and egg type of deal, Kevin? You told Peter Bessie on the piece we saw earlier that you felt a bit slighted by your teammates. Maybe some of them would say, if they could be completely candid, we'd love to go to him, but we'd lost confidence in him a little bit because he wasn't performing. Maybe it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, huh?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things. They always told me they didn't lose confidence, but I always felt they did. I always felt that actions speak louder than words. I was not given a lot of minutes this year. I was not given a lot of opportunity to get the ball in the post. But I did still keep my head in there for the most part and come out and play as hard and as strong as I can and support my team. The record speaks for itself.
Tell us about the meeting earlier in the week involving some of your teammates and Rick Adelman. What was said and what sort of agreement was reached on the way you guys can get it together for the playoffs?
Well, the meeting was really for me and Rick to get a better understanding, for the team to understand where we're coming from. I guess they must have felt a little animosity between us, which wasn't as serious as they thought. It's just that it just was no communication there. But after the meeting, we came out on a positive note. I felt good, and ever since then, I've been more involved in the game.
I know this is sometimes a difficult thing to talk about on national television, but you've been described as an emotional guy. Now, that can be a positive if it means passion and you get into the flow of things, or in the tough competitive world of athletics, it can sometimes be a drawback if you're too sensitive. How do you analyze yourself?
Well, I don't know. If I wasn't sensitive, I'd be a guy with no heart. I always felt that I had a lot of heart, and especially when I'm playing for Portland, in Portland, I feel that I should get no negative write-up from no one. I love this town and love the city, and I love playing for them. I do play sometimes with a lot of emotion. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but that's just me. A lot of people got to accept me as the way I am.
And lastly, Kevin, how did it feel to you when they gave you the standing ovation as you went to the bench for the last time today?
It felt great, to get a standing ovation. Also, just to be sitting next to Clyde, and for him to congratulate me too, just to let them know that Kevin is here to work hard and play as hard as he can. And hopefully, I'll be here when I retire. If not, then they know I love here and I love playing here.
Kevin, congratulations on a great game, and thanks for taking the time to visit with us after the ball game. Still ahead on the post-game show, we'll take a look at the playoff picture and focus on some of the key games in the final week of the regular season. But first, we step aside for these messages from your local station.
Wednesday, Seinfeld helps a sick friend.
Jerry, kill me.
Is anyone saved or George?
Elaine, what are you doing here?
It's sick fun on Seinfeld. Then Kirk and John are trapped in a soap opera nightmare.
You know I'm engaged to Jessica and in love with Brian.
A whole new Dear John after Seinfeld, NBC Wednesday.
G.I. Joe salutes Haviland Motor Oil's long commitment to IndyCar racing. Haviland's quality reputation makes it the perfect motor oil for your car or truck, too. And now, during G.I. Joe's 2-week sale, you can get Haviland Formula 3 motor oil for just 94 cents a quart. Texaco Haviland is the proud presenting sponsor of this year's Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200. Save on Haviland during the 2-week sale at G.I. Joe's, the Northwest Sports and Auto Store.
These are my new shoes from Converse. They're so light and so fast, my grandmama can whoop you in them. Grandmama! Let's go. What? You let do that. Like an old lady. Move it, Granny, move it. Remember, you can't beat what you can't catch. Okay, Granny, one-on-one, me and you. That was a lucky shot, Grandma.
My wife bets me that I can't go into Builder's Square garden shop and get only what I need. Ha! Pruning shears. That's all I need are pruning shears. I don't need seeds, fertilizer, hoses, sprinklers. No. I'm not the least bit interested in these yard tools. Even this weed Terminator doesn't faze me. Look at these prices. So, I owe the wife $1.
Builder's Square, the warehouse with everything for your house and your garden.
For news that works for you, watch us weeknights on News 8 at 5.
All right, you've just seen the Portland Trailblazers wrap up the Pacific title and the best record in the Western Conference. Other teams still have plenty on the line in the week ahead, and here's a look. The regular season enters its final week, and some crucial games remain on the schedule. It starts on Tuesday when the top two teams in the East play in Cleveland. The Cavs are 1-3 against the Bulls this season and are still searching for a way to stop Chicago's run for a second title. Also on Tuesday, the Nets and Heat face off in a battle for one of the final playoff spots in the East. Miami is trying to become the first of the 4 new expansion franchises to qualify for the playoffs.
Every game from here on is going to be very important for us. We have to win every game from here on and give ourselves a nice chance for the last playoff spot.
On Wednesday, the Celtics and Pistons, probable first-round opponents, meet in Detroit. Boston holds a half-game lead over the Pistons for home court and is now a game and a half behind the Knicks in the race for the Atlantic title. Thursday features the Nets and the Pacers, 2 teams in the race for the final playoff spots in the East. Derek Coleman and the Nets are shooting for their first postseason appearance since 1986. Another team in the Eastern playoff scramble, the Atlanta Hawks, continues their torturous closing week as they play at Chicago on Monday, New York on Tuesday, then the Bulls again Friday, and finally at Cleveland Sunday.
It's going to be real tough. But, you know, our team and myself, we like to take battles like that and like to take challenges, and we're just going to come out and play hard.
On Saturday, there's a rematch of last May's Western Conference Final on the NBA on NBC. Last year, the Lakers tossed Portland out of the playoffs. Once again, Clyde Drexler and the Blazers are the team to beat in the West. Then on Sunday, a rematch of last year's Eastern Finals as Isaiah and the Pistons hope to send one more message to the Bulls before the second season begins. And finally, on Sunday, the battle for Los Angeles as the Clippers and Lakers face off in a game that could determine the final playoff spot in the West.
2 of my goals here was to make the playoffs and then just take a couple fans away from the Lakers. You know, it seemed like every time someone says, oh, you play in L.A., and I say, yeah, and they say the Lakers, and I say, no, the Clippers, and they say, oh, that's too bad, and hopefully that'll change.
Well, the Clippers are 22-9 now under Larry Brown, and even if they finish behind San Antonio, and at this point they might overtake them, you know, at the midway point of the year, when Larry Brown was San Antonio's coach, on his way to becoming the Clippers coach, who would you rather play in the playoffs? San Antonio or the Clippers? Now it's very, very clear. You don't want to face the L.A. Clippers. That is a brutal first-round draw.
It really is, because this is a group, they don't really know how good they are, but they do know that they've always felt that they could play, Bob, and since they got Larry there, Larry Brown is a great teacher, and he's won every place that he's gone, and he's been able to instill that winning attitude. This is about an attitude. You've got to have talent. They've got that. Now they've got the attitude to believe that they can beat people.
Of course, it's Larry Brown's coaching and Danny Manning and Ron Harper kicking their games up now that they're healthy with the Clippers, and on the San Antonio side, the absence of David Robinson changes everything. Bob Bass was doing a good job until Robinson went down. You really can't sustain the loss of the Admiral and keep the ship afloat, he said, working this metaphor to its absolute conclusion.
That is absolutely true, but the one thing about the playoffs or anything like this, you can't count injury, you can't count on injuries, you can't count them out. That happens. You got to play regardless.
The Lakers are a half game back of Houston for that last playoff spot, but Houston has the tiebreakers, so L.A. really has to finish ahead of them. But what a brutal loss by Houston last night. You're closing in on the playoffs and lose at home to Dallas. Can't do it. Don't forget, 2 more games next week on NBC. On Saturday, we'll see the Lakers and the Blazers beginning with showtime at 3 o'clock Eastern time, and then on Sunday, same time, same station, we've got the Pistons and the Bulls. For Quinn Buckner, I'm Bob Costas, and we'll see you next weekend here on NBC. So long, everybody.
A promotional